Are we on? We are. How are we doing? Welcome to show 340. Okay, of the Rise to Thrive show. Today we're going to be talking about understanding progression and learning how we progress to kind of put it into perspective so that we stop beating ourselves up about actually, okay, why we're not achieving. Okay. So, all right, so let's get into it. Welcome to the Rise to Thrive show. I am your host, James Borman. If you are coming through, then please do hit the love heart button and let me know that you're coming through. So, task, engagement, for you guys to get the absolute most out of this, what I want you to do is put your number one biggest problem with progression. What is the relationship that you have with it that causes you issues? Okay. So I want you to think about when we learn to drive, right? When we learn to drive, when we get in the car, we sit in the car and we kind of look around us and we think, oh my God, how am I even going to move this thing? How do these pedals work? How does this gear stick work? What do all of these buttons do, right? If I sat in an aeroplane right now, I'd be exactly the same, right? Because we don't know what to do. We haven't been taught or educated. But over a period of time of say like 8 to 9 months, it probably must take between 6 and 9 months, I guess, depending on how many lessons you have. You slowly progress and learn how to get in that car and use those pedals and use that gear stick and know what all the buttons are. And the more that you learn to do all of that, the more confident you become within that environment. And then 6 months down the line, you take a test, you pass your test. 1 year down the line, you get in a car and you don't even think about how do these pedals, how does this gear stick, what are all these buttons. You create your own way of driving is the best way to describe it. But we go from learning what all of it is to knowing how to do it unconsciously, automated. And the same is true about our own progression, right? Many lads that come into our world come in and have no idea how to start changing their life. They don't know where to start, they don't know how to feel, they don't know how to review, they don't know how to do accountability, they don't know how to work through a process. So again, we have to go through a process of progression and understanding that progression. Okay. Now here's some of the key problems, and I got some of this of clients again, and these are key problems that people face. I've got 4 here. Okay. And these 4 issues tend to have a detrimental effect to men's self-belief, self-esteem, because it's important for us to feel progression, right? If we don't feel progression, we feel unfulfilled within life. So progression is really a part of our mental and emotional health, of feeling like we're moving forwards. The minute that we stop moving forwards is the minute that we stop feeling secure in ourselves or confident in ourselves. That's when we start to feel a little bit like we're falling into self-pity. Does that make sense? If that's something that happens to you, hit the like button just so that I know that that makes sense to you. Okay. So these 4 are some of the key issues, okay, that are faced. So when it comes to progression, inconsistency. Who here struggles with inconsistency with their progression? So inconsistency comes about when we try to progress too quickly, too much, and suddenly you're spinning lots and lots of different plates. And you can't emotionally or mentally or physically manage or uphold that level of progression because you're not ready to. Because there's so much going on in your life that actually, man, you're putting yourself under too much pressure. So we implode, we explode, and boom, we end up back at square one. We go back down the snake, on the snakes and ladders, all the way back down to the start, okay? So inconsistency is a real problem in terms of progression. Everybody faces it because they try to do too much. Number 2, it's not happening quick enough. Who here has those feelings, right? It's not happening quick enough. Like people come in and they want change, they realise they want change, they realise what a bad situation that they're in, and they suddenly turn around and go, oh man, I want this now, I want it now, I want it now. And the problem is that you can't rewire or embed foundations, fundamentals, structures and systems and routines overnight. Okay, you have to be patient with the process, right? You have to understand that this is a game of patience, this is a game of process, this is a journey. Don't look at this as an outcome, look at this as your life now. Okay, and that's what's really important to understand. If you go too quickly, if you build a skyscraper too quickly and you haven't built the foundations correctly, that skyscraper will topple over. So we have to spend the time building the foundations to build your skyscraper upon, right? So it takes time. Number 3, no plan to the progression. No plan to the progression. It kind of means like you're going for a shotgun approach. So you're just waking up and cuffing it, thinking, I want progression, I need progression, I want to move forwards, but there is no plan. When we have a plan or a blueprint of your progression, or where you're going to be over 28 days, where you're going to be over 12 weeks, where you're going to be over the next 6 months or next year, then our progression feels like measured. We can measure our progress against that plan. Because you've created this blueprint, you've almost created this path of where your life's going to go. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to progress. These are my outcomes I want to achieve. Let's follow the plan, and then you review that plan. Okay. And then the last one is what messes it all up. Okay, when you feel like you're making progression, is what messes it all up. Your progression is subject to your emotional state. Your progression is subjective to your emotional state. And in this job, one of my biggest frustrations is when men allow their emotions to get the better of them. When they have been emotionally ambushed by life or been distracted by life and they consume themselves in that ambush, the firefighting their way out. And everything that I've taught those guys and everything that I teach goes out the window. Because of their emotional state and their inability to be able to control themselves. And that's why it's massively important to be able to control your emotions. Because your emotions tend to overrun your mindset. And your mindset is the thing that creates and develops you through your progression. And this emotional wave will come in, smash through your mindset, and just completely corrupt everything that you're trying to achieve, right, in terms of your progression. How many of you have allowed your emotions to spoil your progress? How many of you allowed your emotions to stop your progress or hold you in your tracks? And if it has, just stick it in the comments and go, yep, that's definitely me. So here is where the art of understanding comes in. So there are 5 key points here. Progression is a mixed bag. Some days you might wake up and feel terrible. So we're looking for the 1% win. We're looking for the fundamentals, the basics of how we show up. Okay? Or it could be 100%. You might hit everything that you said you were going to do on your day and you might feel incredible. So progression is a mixed bag. It could be 1%, it could be 50%, it could be 75%, it could be 100%. But as long as you are hitting the minimum requirement of 1%, you're winning. Because remember, if you show up 1% every single day for the rest of your life, things are going to change. Number 2, recognize all levels of progression. And what I mean by that is recognize that actually you turned your phone off and you spent 30 minutes cuddling your daughter or playing Lego with your daughter or playing football with your son outside, or actually recognizing that you didn't press snooze and got straight up, or recognizing that you realized you were not in a great mood and you were just handling the situation, realizing that you helped somebody who was in need, realizing that you connected more with your wife. Progression comes across all levels. And I think the problem is that too many of you are looking for the big progression. You're looking for the Hollywood progression, as I would call it. oh yeah, I want to look for my abs, I want to look for these huge biceps. Okay, and it takes obviously months to get all of that. Or you're chasing the wrong type of success in your career and you're looking for the big payout. You're waiting to get that 10 grand rise, or you're waiting to increase your business by 100 grand, or whatever it is, that milestone that you're looking for. Progression comes in the smallest of forms. If you look at this Rise to Thrive show, we've been doing this 4.5 years. Progression for me is going from spending 6 months, no one watching, to then fluctuating between 60 people and 20 people. People just showing up at 5:30 in the morning. That's progression to me. So one of the things that I think is a real game changer is if you grab yourself a decent little notebook, and in that decent little notebook, every time you feel progression, write it in there. Because what you try to do is keep progression in here. Oh yeah, I progressed here. Oh, I haven't actually progressed. That's what a lot of people think, that I actually haven't progressed. And then I start going, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about that? Oh yeah, oh yeah. And if you have this little progression book, if you ever doubted yourself that you weren't progressing, you open this little book up and go, right, on Monday, man, I had five points where I felt like I was progression. Tuesday I had 3. Wednesday I had 4. Like suddenly you just start recognizing, and part of your review system is actually writing that down. So the key to consistency is working to your means, i.e. not trying to do too much, okay? The art of being consistent is to keep your focuses at a manageable level. Focus on just 1 or 2 things to achieve in a week. Manage just 1 or 2 things in a 28-day period. Manage just 1 or 2 things in a 12-week period. Then when you get really good at this type of stuff, then you can introduce more. But start basic. The key to being consistent is not overloading yourself. And then the last one is managing your emotions. And you will only ever manage your emotions when you control your time, your energy and focus better, when you're consistent, when you have more control and more clarity, when you are in more control, when you're doing the things that you said you were going to do. That all of those things, they build discipline. And then when you have discipline, you have emotional control, because you realize the triggers that are setting you off and sending you down a path you don't want to go down. And mastering your emotions is a lifetime journey. There are some days when I 100% can't master them, especially in a car. In a car, I am a grenade, and I am still trying to master my emotions in there, and I'm working on it. So, master your emotions. When you master your emotions, you will master your progression. All right, guys, I hope this helps. Listen, if you're not with us in any way, shape or form in terms of programs or memberships, then we're running an Elite 28. This is our last program of the year. Okay, we're doing it for an early bird action takers offer. Go and check out the link somewhere here or in the description, and you can have a read up and get your application form in before Sunday. Until Friday, have a great week.